Hello everyone and welcome back to the sessions on strategic financial management. Friends, in this session of CA Final SFM, we are going to talk about an important component of derivative which will be titled as interest rate swaps. Now, interest rate swaps, also known as plain vanilla swap or generic swap. What is this all about? Let us try to understand. Swap basically means exchange. So here there is an exchange of interest rates, that is why it is called interest rate swap. So basically this kind of derivatives, they exist in market simply because of a human psychology. You know, one simple thing, whatever we have, we don't like that. We always feel that the other side of the grass looks greener, correct? We always find that other people are at a little more advantage than what we are. So that precisely the same psychology works for this kind of derivative instrument. So what exactly is this interest rate swap? Let me build an entire scenario so that you will understand it better. Suppose you want to borrow money on a long-term basis. You have approached the bank. When you have approached the bank for taking a loan, bank would have offered you two different alternatives. Either borrow at a fixed rate or borrow at a floating rate. Fixed rate means for the entire period of borrowing, whatever be interest rate initially decided, you will be paying interest throughout the period exactly at that rate, irrespective of the interest rate prevailing in the market. On the other side, if you have borrowed at floating rate, then there will be a base of floating rate. For example, the base of floating rate in India is MIBOR, M-I-B-O-R, that is Mumbai Interbank Offer Rate. The base of floating rate in international market is LIBOR, L-I-B-O-R, London Interbank Offer Rate. So friends, these floating rate bases, when they fluctuate, the rate of interest applicable to the borrower will also fluctuate accordingly. For example, if you have borrowed at MIBOR plus 1% and if MIBOR was 9% at the time when you have borrowed, your interest applicable for that period would be 9 plus 1, 10%. However, if the MIBOR changes over the period, your interest rate will change accordingly. So here it's a case where suppose you have borrowed at a floating rate. Now, why someone would borrow at a floating rate? Can you guess? Someone would borrow at a floating rate with an expectation that the rate of interest would fall in future, and therefore your commitment of interest payment would be reduced if you have borrowed at a floating rate. So if you look into what is the scenario prevailing in India over past 10 years, if you watch what is happening, the interest rates have declined. The obvious reason is there is now abundant capital supply coming to our country, and therefore because we have more capital supply than the demand, I won't say more than the demand, but we have substantial amount of capital supply, and that is the reason that interest rates have been dropping. It's a simple demand and supply play. So if the demand of capital is more and supply is restrictive, the interest rates would rise up. It's like that. So now, because of affluent supply of capital, what we have, we can say that the interest rates are found to drop. That is one reason. Inflation rate in India has also been completely under control to a certain extent. You can see one thing, Indian inflation rate was very high at a point of time, and gradually if you see past few years the inflation has been under control. And we know one thing, that inflation rate has a direct impact on the interest rate, because everything is ultimately linked with the time value of money. With inflation under control, the interest rates would also fall. If you could refer the interest rate parity theory and purchasing power parity theory, what we discuss under international finance or forex management, you will understand that what is the role of this inflation rate in the interest rate. Anyway, right now we don't want to enter into that kind of discussion. So coming back to the point, what I was trying to tell you, that in India, if you observe past few years, the interest rates have been declining. With that expectation that the decline would continue, you have agreed to borrow at a floating rate. But now suppose something happens and suddenly there is a shortage of capital supply and there are more borrowers than the investors. What will happen? The moment there is a shortage of capital, the interest rates will start rising up. If the interest rates start rising up, what will be the impact again? You have already borrowed at a floating rate and now you are expecting that interest rates would turn and interest rate would start moving up. But now you have already borrowed at floating rate. If you go back to your bank and ask your bank to convert that floating rate loan into a fixed rate loan, your bank may not be giving you a very good offer, and obviously it will not. Reason is very clear. When you are approaching to the bank at the time of borrowing, you are a customer for the bank and bank will give you all possible best offers. They will try to ensure that you as a client don't go away. But when you have already borrowed money, you are already bank's customer, you are already into a contract. Now to alter that contract, to modify that contract, to make changes, bank will always take its own advantage. This is a fact. No bank in the world would be an exception to this. No one would be. So this is a fact. Now what would happen? Even if the bank agrees for converting your floating rate loan into a fixed rate loan, bank may not give you a good offer and bank will try to charge a higher interest rate. So what should one do? And you know, one good thing could be you borrow from elsewhere and repay your existing bank loan. But in most cases, banks, while offering loan, they also keep one clause in the agreement. If there is prepayment, there will be a penalty of prepayment. That means you are kind of stuck in between. That is the time where this kind of instruments, interest rate swaps, would help you. How? Now here I told you it's a case of human psychology. You are finding that interest rate might rise and therefore you have a fear factor. You don't want your interest commitments to increase. Imagine on the other side there is another party who has borrowed at a fixed rate. That party has a different expectation. That party expects that the interest rates are going to decline and that other party is not able to take the benefit of the declining interest rate because that other party has borrowed at fixed rate. Now same will be the story with that other party. If that other party is approaching the bank, bank would always not give a good offer to that party as well. So what will happen? If yourself and this other party, they mutually understand each other's requirement, they may agree for an interest rate swap. That means right now you are a floating rate payer with entry of interest rate swap arrangement with the other party. What will happen? Instead of paying interest at floating rate, you will start paying interest at fixed rate. The other party who was paying interest at fixed rate will start paying interest at a floating rate. So friends, how this would exactly work needs to be understood very well. So what I have done, I have taken some important calculative examples to explain this whole concept, and I would want you to write down everything systematically as and when we are moving ahead. Like all other videos, again over here, I will not be giving you enough time to write down because within this 1 hour of session, we have to discuss the whole matter. So the writing time you can snatch away by pausing the video. In other words, whenever you want to write down something from the screen, what you can do is you can just pause the video, note down everything, and then again resume the video. However, throughout the video, I will keep on giving you instruction that please take note of this, please take note of this. If at all you want to write down, just pause the video, write it, and then again resume the video. My objective is by end of this video, you should be thoroughly clear with what are interest rate swaps, how does it function, and therefore friends, just reading few paragraphs will not going to help you. You have to understand the workability in real life as well. How does interest rate swap function? So let us do one thing. Let us begin with some questions over here. for our better understanding. Some good calculative examples, which from my textbook it is given in question number 107. So let us just read this question. For your convenience, I will expand the screen size so that you can have a comfortable reading of the question. Let us just read this question. Aditya has obtained a loan at a fixed rate of 13% from HSBC. He expects the interest rate to decline and is willing to take the benefit of declining interest rate. He wants to convert his loan into a floating rate. HSBC offers him floating rate of MIBOR plus 1.9%. Another party, Krishna, has borrowed from Citibank at floating rate of MIBOR plus 1.5%. He expects the interest rates to rise in future, and this will increase his commitment towards interest expenses. He is therefore willing to convert his loans into fixed rate. Citibank offers him fixed rate of 14% per annum. Both these parties approach NJ Limited, that is a swap bank, to find out whether any swap deal can be effected and decide to swap their interest obligations, and the overall benefit of swap shall be shared by the three parties including the swap bank in the ratio of 5:5:4. You are required to determine whether interest rate swap deal can be effected, determine the differential surplus that benefits each of the three parties, show how the interest rate swap deal will be arranged, and show how each party is benefited from the swap deal. So friends, before we start solving this question, it is very important to understand the whole scenario. Let us first observe what is informed. So one of the party named Aditya has already borrowed from HSBC at 13% per annum fixed rate. Another party, Krishna, has borrowed from Citibank at MIBOR plus 1.5% floating rate. Now what happens? Aditya has already borrowed at fixed rate. When Aditya is asking its own bank to offer a floating rate arrangement, bank is now offering MIBOR plus 1.9%, correct? And likewise, if Krishna is asking his banker to offer a fixed rate, Krishna's bank, Citibank, is offering him 14% rate. And that has what happened in this case, where these two parties, Aditya and Krishna, they have also approached a swap bank, and when they have approached a swap bank is required to analyze whether any swap deal can be arranged between these two parties, Aditya and Krishna. So we will look into whether a swap deal can be arranged or not. But first of all, what you do is this small presentation quickly note down so that it will give you a clear picture of what the question is asking you to do. Alright, after understanding what is the scenario, now what you have to do, it is a very simple task. Please pay attention on something very important. This is the fixed rate of interest that Aditya is paying to his banker. This is the floating rate interest which Krishna is paying to his banker. Both of these rates are existing rates, right? You need to take in total, Aditya and Krishna taken together are paying how much interest to their respective banks on an aggregate basis. That means you are going to sum up the percentage of interest whatever they are paying to their respective banks, and then you have to take the aggregate of the revised arrangement that their bank have offered to them. That means you take aggregate of existing, you take aggregate of these revised and compare. If you find that revised arrangement offered is higher than the existing arrangement, that means their banks are trying to take advantage of the situation. You, however, will not let the bank take advantage. You straight away approach a swap bank and making sure that both of yours interest arrangement will be swapped, but you will end up paying overall lesser interest as compared to what your bank is now offering. So how to write up this as part of your answer, I am showing that, please take note of the same. So what you would do is, determining whether a swap deal can be effected, you would first take the existing aggregate of interest, that is 13 plus MIBOR plus 1.5, that will be MIBOR plus 14.5, and the revised aggregate offered by their banks, MIBOR plus 1.9 plus 14, and that will be MIBOR plus 15.9. Now you take revised minus existing. So revised minus existing would give you a differential of 1.4%, and that is a positive difference. That being a positive difference, you can conclude that a swap deal can be effected. So friends, I want you to do one thing, write up this first part of your solution and then we shall move ahead. Alright friends, you would have finished writing this. Let us now move ahead and calculate a simple thing. If the differential surplus of 1.4 is to be shared among the three parties, Aditya, Krishna and Swap Bank, in the ratio of 5:5:4, then the interest differential surplus of each will be, Aditya will be 1.4 into 5/14, and that is 0.5%. Similarly, Krishna's share would be 1.4 into 5/14, that is again 0.5%, and Swap Bank's share would be 1.4 into 4/14, and that will be 0.4%. See, simple thing is the overall differential benefit was positive 1.4%, and the three parties have agreed to share in the ratio of 5:5:4. So it goes for the three parties their respective shares 0.5%, 0.5% and 0.4% respectively for Aditya, Krishna and Swap Bank. So do one thing, write up this as a second part of your answer and then we shall move ahead. Alright friends, you would have finished writing this whole thing. Let us move ahead and now see how the interest rate swap deal will be arranged. Now this is the most important part of the solution. Concentrate over here. So first of all, Aditya is paying to his bank 13% fixed rate. First of all, what Swap Bank will do is, Swap Bank on a notional basis will reborrow from Aditya the same loan at the same rate, and it would on a notional basis pay to Aditya 13%. As a result, whatever interest has been paid by Aditya has been as good as reimbursed by the Swap Bank on notional basis. By far what we have learnt, Aditya pays to HSBC 13% and Swap Bank is making a reimbursement of that 13% on notional basis. Now Aditya's bank HSBC is offering him a floating rate of MIBOR plus 1.9%, this rate, correct? And Aditya doesn't want to borrow at this rate. Through swap deal, Aditya will be benefited by 0.5%. So from this rate, correct, from this rate, you subtract 0.5% and that will give you MIBOR plus 1.4%, and that MIBOR plus 1.4% is the rate at which interest will be paid by Aditya to Swap Bank on a notional basis. So friends, if you observe the flow of interest, Aditya to HSBC, this was the actual interest payment of 13%. Aditya to Swap Bank and Swap Bank to Aditya, both of these are notional, but whatever be the difference between the two will be settled between Aditya and Swap Bank on actual basis. So friends, how that arrangement would work, we have solved that part little later, but first we are trying to observe the overall arrangement. So this left part of the swap arrangement is also known as the left leg or the fixed leg of the swap, correct? Let us now focus on the other leg, that is the floating leg, where the party involved is this other party, Krishna. Now Krishna has borrowed from Citibank at MIBOR plus 1.5%. Same way, the way Swap Bank has dealt with Aditya, Swap Bank will deal with Krishna also in the same way. Whatever interest Krishna has paid to Citibank, Swap Bank will first reimburse that on notional basis. Thereafter, whatever interest rate Citibank is offering to Krishna for a fixed basis, that is 14%, correct? Now Swap Bank will offer Krishna a better rate. It is 0.5% less than this. That means it will be 13.5%. So it is 13.5% rate at which Krishna will pay to Swap Bank. So friends, we are going to write up this entire arrangement in complete explanatory format as well. But what I want you to first do is, I want you to note down this presentation so that it gives you a clear picture of what is going to happen by way of arrangement of a swap deal. So write this and then we move ahead. Alright friends, let us move ahead and now write up the entire description about Aditya first. The swap bank shall borrow from Aditya on notional basis at the same rate that Aditya pays to his bank, that is 13%. Thereby, swap bank shall reimburse the interest of the same amount to Aditya that he has paid to his bank. In turn, Aditya shall borrow from the swap bank on notional basis at an interest rate which is 0.5% lower than the rate offered by his bank, that is at the rate of MIBOR plus 1.4%. With this arrangement, Aditya could convert his fixed rate loan into a floating rate loan, that too at a lower rate. So friends, write down this whole thing and then we shall move ahead. Alright friends, you would have finished writing this whole thing. Let us move ahead and take Krishna's case. In case of Krishna, swap bank shall borrow from Krishna on notional basis at the same rate that Krishna pays to his bank, that is MIBOR plus 1.5%. Thereby, swap bank shall reimburse the interest of the same amount to Krishna that he has paid to his bank. In turn, Krishna shall borrow from swap bank on notional basis at an interest rate which is 0.5% lower than the rate offered by his bank, and that is at the rate of 13.5%. With this arrangement, Krishna could convert his floating rate loan into a fixed rate loan, that too at a lower rate. So write down this as well and then we move ahead. Alright friends, you would have finished writing this whole thing. Let us move ahead and now take the case of swap bank. Now its interest income from both the sides on notional basis is 13.5% plus MIBOR plus 1.4%, and that would be MIBOR plus 14.9%, and its interest expense will be 13% plus MIBOR plus 1.5%, that is MIBOR plus 14.5%. By taking the difference, we can see that the differential surplus that the swap bank is earning is 0.4%. Quickly write up this part as well. Alright friends, let us move ahead and now take up the extension of this question, that is question number 108. Let us read this. In question 107, assume that both Aditya and Krishna have borrowed from their respective banks an amount of rupees 1 crore each. For interest rate swap arrangement, consider a notional loan of rupees 1 crore. Determine the net payoff under both the legs for each of the following situations. Case 1 is given where MIBOR is 9% per annum and case 2 is given where MIBOR is 13% per annum. So friends, I told you this is just an extension to the same thing, now taking the values into consideration so that you better understand how settlement will exactly take place in the form of cash flows. Earlier we were just receiving and paying on a percentage basis. Here the real picture would be more clear. So let us see how to present the solution. Case 1, MIBOR equals to 9%, and you first take the viewpoint of Aditya. So interest paid by Aditya to own bank will be 13% of 1 crore, that is 13 lakhs. Understand this thing. This will be the actual interest payment. Now, interest that Aditya receives from swap bank on a notional basis will be the same amount what he has paid to his bank. So 13 lakh paid, 13 lakh received, nullified, right? But this is on a notional basis. Not to worry. Now what happens? Interest that Aditya has to pay to swap bank on a notional basis will be MIBOR plus 1.4%, correct? Now this 10.4 is nothing but MIBOR plus 1.4%. MIBOR being 9%, this is 9 plus 1.4, that is 10.4%, and that gives you the interest commitment on notional basis as 10,40,000. So interest received from swap bank on a notional basis is 13 lakh. Interest paid to swap bank on a notional basis is 10,40,000. The difference between these two notional values will be settled on actual basis, where we are concluding that Aditya will receive net from swap bank rupees 2,60,000. Now this amount actually Swap Bank will pay to Aditya. So finally, if you look from the viewpoint of Aditya, the actual cash flow number 1 was this, right? And the second actual cash flow is this amount. This was an outflow, this is an inflow. So we identify this as X, this as Y. X is outflow, Y is inflow. So interest cost on a net basis will be X minus Y, that is 10,40,000, and 10,40,000 is nothing but 10.4% of the loan amount, which is nothing but MIBOR plus 1.4%, which anyway Aditya wanted to incur. So by this arrangement, Aditya could swap his interest obligation of 13% to an interest obligation of 10.4%, which was actually indication of a floating rate. So friends, please carefully note down this whole thing and then we shall move ahead. Alright friends, you would have finished writing this whole thing. Let us move ahead. And what we do now is we continue with the case 1, that is MIBOR equal to 9%, but we take the viewpoint of the other party, that is Krishna. Now what Krishna has paid to his bank was MIBOR plus 1.5%. Understand one thing very well. MIBOR is 9%, so MIBOR plus 1.5% will be 9 plus 1.5, that is 10.5%. Now Krishna has paid to his bank on a floating rate basis, that is MIBOR plus 1.5%. What happens as an arrangement with Swap Bank? Krishna will receive from Swap Bank on notional basis as same amount what he has paid to his bank. So Krishna has received on notional basis an amount of 10,50,000 from Swap Bank, and now interest paid by Krishna to Swap Bank on a notional basis will be at a fixed rate. Fixed rate was 13.5%. So that will be 13,50,000. Now both of these amounts are notional, but their difference will be settled on actual basis. From viewpoint of Krishna, amount receivable on notional basis is 10,50,000. Amount payable on notional basis is more, it is 13,50,000. So the net difference is a payable amount. Therefore Krishna will make a net payment to Swap Bank. This will be settled on actual basis. Now from viewpoint of Krishna, this amount was paid to his own banker, 10,50,000. This is the actual outflow. This amount is paid to Swap Bank. This is also an actual outflow. So both of these are actual outflows. We mark them as X and Y. So interest cost will be basically X plus Y in this case, and that comes to 13,50,000. And that 13,50,000 is nothing but 13.5% of the loan. Krishna wanted a fixed rate of 13.5%. Finally, Krishna is still paying 13.5% of this interest. Now, before you start writing this, I want you to make one more careful observation. Do you see Krishna paid to Swap Bank a net amount of 3 lakhs? On the other side, Aditya received from Swap Bank a net amount of 2,60,000. The previous working, right? The case of Aditya received from Swap Bank 2,60,000, whereas Krishna has paid to Swap Bank rupees 3 lakhs. That difference between 3 lakhs and 2,60,000 is the net surplus that is lying with the Swap Bank as its share of this arrangement, and that is 40,000. And 40,000, when you relate with 1 crore, it is nothing but 0.4%, because Swap Bank had its share as 0.4% in this entire arrangement. So do one thing, write up this whole thing, and then we move to second case. Alright friends, you would have finished writing this whole thing. Let us move ahead and take up case 2, where MIBOR is 13% per annum, and now we are taking the viewpoint of Aditya. Now Aditya has paid to his bank 13% fixed rate. This is already known. Aditya will get a reimbursement on a notional basis of the same amount from Swap Bank. That also we know. Now under the interest rate swap arrangement, the rate at which Aditya should pay interest on a notional basis would be MIBOR plus 1.4%, and that will be 13 plus 1.4%, and that is 14.4%. So what will happen? Aditya would receive on notional basis an amount of 13 lakh and will have to pay on a notional basis 14 lakh 40,000. The differential between these two amounts on a net basis, Aditya will have to pay to Swap Bank, and therefore this is an actual outflow. Even this differential will now be an actual outflow. Both these are outflow. We are marking these as X and Y. So your interest cost for Aditya this time will be 14 lakh 40,000, and that is 14.4% of the loan amount. And you cannot help it now because MIBOR itself is 13% and you have agreed to pay 1.4% more than the prevailing MIBOR. So prevailing MIBOR is 13. You would pay interest at 1.4% more than 13, that is 14.4%. And finally, what Aditya wanted was payment of interest on a floating basis, and finally he could arrange his fixed rate loan into a floating rate loan. So do one thing, friends, quickly write up what you are finding on screen and then we shall move ahead. Alright friends, you would have finished writing this whole thing. Let us now continue with the second case, but now viewpoint of Krishna would be taken. So Krishna has paid to interest at 14.5% to his own banker. How we got 14.5%? It is MIBOR plus 1.5%, and MIBOR being 13% in this case, the interest paid by Krishna to his banker will be 14.5%. That is 13 plus 1.5%. So now whatever Krishna has paid to his bank, now Krishna is entitled to receive reimbursement on notional basis of the same amount from Swap Bank. And in turn, Krishna has to pay interest at a fixed rate of 13.5% to Swap Bank as agreed. So finally, on a notional basis, Krishna will be entitled to receive 14 lakh 50,000 and would be required to pay 13 lakh 50,000. Therefore, these two notional amounts, when settled on actual basis, the net differential will be settled on actual basis. That will be net receipt in the hand of Krishna from Swap Bank. So on a net basis, Krishna is to receive from Swap Bank a net amount of rupees 1 lakh. Finally, what we observe is this is an interest payment which is an outflow. On the other side, this Y, what we have marked as an inflow, the interest cost on a net basis will be X minus Y. That will be 14 lakh 50,000 minus 1 lakh, that is 13 lakh 50,000, which stands at 13.5% of loan, which anyway Krishna wanted to pay. So friends, note down this whole thing and then we shall move ahead. Alright friends, you would have finished writing this whole thing. Let us now once again observe from the beginning the conclusion what we have drawn. First, taking the case 1, that is viewpoint of Aditya, where MIBOR is 9%. Aditya has received net from Swap Bank as 2,60,000. In the same case, Krishna has paid to Swap Bank 3 lakhs. So what is happening? Observe, Krishna pays to Swap Bank 3 lakhs, and on the other side Aditya receives from Swap Bank just 2,60,000. The differential of 40,000 is retained by the Swap Bank itself. What happens in case 2? In case 2, Aditya pays to Swap Bank on a net basis 1,40,000, whereas Krishna receives on a net basis just rupees 1 lakh. Again, difference between 1,40,000 and 1 lakh is now retained by the Swap Bank on net basis. So every time Swap Bank is retaining differential of 40,000 rupees, that is nothing but 0.4% of the notional loan, that is 0.4% of 1 crore, and that is Swap Bank's share of this entire arrangement. So friends, with that we put an end to that particular question. Let us move ahead and write down some important points, very important points. If a borrower who has borrowed at fixed rate expects that interest rate will rise, then the borrower would want to continue with the existing interest rate arrangement. In case the borrower expects the interest rates to fall, the borrower will be better off by swapping his existing arrangement against a floating rate loan. On the other side, if the borrower has borrowed at a floating rate and expects the interest rate to fall, then the borrower would want to continue with the existing interest rate arrangement. If the borrower expects the interest rate to rise, he will be better off by swapping his floating rate loan into a fixed rate. Now friends, I am giving you time, note down these important points. Alright friends, you would have finished writing this whole thing. Let us write up one more thing. Reverse will be the case of investor with respect to note number 1 and 2 above. Just write one line because we don't want to repeat those words again and again. So it will be reverse case for the investor. Quickly write this line. Alright, let us move ahead and now take up question number 109. This is still extension to that same question. Let us read this. In question 107, if the swap bank is not involved as the intermediary, then Aditya and Krishna could have shared the overall benefit of 1.4% just between two of them. How would you arrange a swap deal in such a case where Krishna and Aditya decide to share the net differential equally without involving NJ Limited as an intermediary? Explain how the interest rate swap deal will be arranged. Also specify the benefit flowing to each party. Consider the notional loan of rupees 20 lakhs and MIBOR equal to 11.5%. Specify how much differential will be settled between the two parties by end of the year. In this case, Aditya first pays interest to his bank at fixed rate of 13%. What will Krishna do? Krishna will reimburse to Aditya the same interest of 13% at fixed rate. From the other angle, that is from the viewpoint of Krishna, if you see, Krishna is paying to his bank at MIBOR plus 1.5%, and what Aditya will do, Aditya will pay to Krishna in return as MIBOR plus 1.2%. So be very clear how we got all these arrangements. This 13% was already known. Krishna's reimbursement to Aditya is matching with this 13%. This is clear, right? Likewise, Krishna paying to Citibank MIBOR plus 1.5%, even that was known. This is known, this is known. This is a reimbursement that would match with the interest what Aditya is paying. Just you have to focus on this rate. This rate is basically MIBOR plus 1.9% what HSBC Bank offered to Aditya, and from MIBOR plus 1.9% you have subtracted 0.7%, and that gives you MIBOR plus 1.2%. Through this arrangement, both the parties will get their target achieved. Both the parties will be able to swap their interest rate arrangements with a mutual benefit of 0.7% each. So do one thing, write up this arrangement and then we will make a descriptive note of the same. Alright friends, let us move ahead and write up the descriptive details of this arrangement. We would say that in this arrangement, Krishna shall reborrow from Aditya on notional basis at the same rate that Aditya pays to his bank, that is 13%. Thereby, Krishna shall reimburse the interest of the same amount to Aditya that he has paid to his bank. In turn, Aditya shall reborrow from Krishna on notional basis at an interest rate which is 0.7% lower than the rate offered by his bank, that is MIBOR plus 1.2%. Quickly write up this and then we shall move ahead. Alright friends, you would have finished writing this whole thing. Let us move ahead and write up more. We would say with this arrangement, Aditya could convert his fixed rate loan into a floating rate loan, and Krishna could convert his floating rate loan into a fixed rate loan, that too at lower rates as compared to what was offered by their respective banks. So we have taken the whole basis of Aditya. So let us also look from the viewpoint of Krishna. Net expenses of Krishna towards interest would be 13 plus M plus 1.5% minus M plus 1.2%. Now let us try to understand this. 13 is the reimbursement made by Krishna to Aditya. M plus 1.5% is what Krishna pays to his own bank, and M plus 1.2% is the reimbursement that Krishna got from Aditya. This is on a net basis working to 13.3%. This is the target interest rate of Krishna. Why? because Krishna's bank has offered him 14% fixed rate, and if you subtract 0.7% from 14%, what you would get is exactly 13.3%. So do one thing, write up this whole thing, and that will be Krishna's viewpoint as well included over here, and then we shall move ahead with the later part of the question. Alright friends, you would have finished writing this part as well. Let us move ahead and write the last part of the solution, where it is given that the notional loan amount is rupees 20 lakhs and MIBOR is 11.5%. What would be the net result in that case? So what would happen? You first work out the interest rate of both the parties without swap. If there was no swap, then Aditya would have paid to his bank 13% of 20 lakhs, that is 2,60,000, and Krishna would have paid MIBOR plus 1.5%, that is 11.5 plus 1.5%, and that would be nothing but 13%, correct? And that will also work out to 2,60,000. That means if there was no swap arrangement, both the parties would have paid to their respective banks 2,60,000. Here with the swap arrangement, Aditya's obligation is only 2,54,000. Why? Aditya's obligation is MIBOR plus 1.2%. MIBOR is 11.5%. 11.5 plus 1.2 gives you 12.7%. 12.7% of 20 lakhs would give you exactly 2,54,000. And Krishna's expense with swap would be 13.3% of 20 lakhs, that will be 2,66,000. So when you find the net gain or loss, Aditya's obligation without swap was more, with swap it is less. So Aditya got benefit because of swap, that is by 6,000, and Krishna lost the same amount, rupees 6,000. So eventually Krishna will pay to Aditya on the settlement, that is a sum of rupees 6,000. So please take note of this whole thing, and that will be end of the solution. Alright friends, you would have finished writing this whole thing. Now let us move ahead and talk about the next concept, that is speculative interest rate swaps. Now what exactly do we mean by speculative interest rate swaps? In the earlier scenarios, you have seen that two parties have actually borrowed from the bank, and for benefiting themselves, they have simply entered into an interest rate swap arrangement. There can be situations where no party has borrowed or invested any amount. Just with a speculative motive, they would want to speculate even on the fluctuation of interest rate. And how this would work, I will take you ahead with some calculative examples, very nicely set calculative examples, and you are going to understand the whole concept through that. But let me first explain you a bit of the concept. Just imagine that you are a speculator. I repeat, you are a speculator, and you are expecting the interest rates to move up. If you are a speculator and expecting interest rates to move up, what would you do? You would want to receive interest at floating rate or pay interest at floating rate. First you decide that. If interest rates are going to rise and you are expecting that, what do you think you should do? With those rising interest rates, should you receive interest at rising rates or should you pay interest at rising rates? So when your expectation is that the interest rates would rise, you will always be better off by receiving interest at those rising rates. But if you want to take that advantage, you should definitely invest at floating rate. Means you should agree to become a floating rate receiver. I repeat, you should agree to become a floating rate receiver and you should become a fixed rate payer. So I repeat, when the interest rates are expected to rise, you being a speculator, how can you take advantage? You can take advantage of the situation by becoming a floating rate receiver and fixed rate payer. So if you enter into a swap arrangement where you will receive interest at floating rate and you will pay interest at fixed rate, and interest rates are rising, the rising interest rates would entitle you to receive interest at those rising rates because you have agreed to receive interest at floating rate. In such situation, you would become a floating rate receiver and a fixed rate payer. Now take exactly reverse situation. What will happen when you expect that the interest rates will fall? If you expect that the interest rates will fall, what action you should take as a speculator? In that case, the falling interest rates will benefit you if you pay interest at those falling rates and receive interest at a fixed rate. In other words, you should pay interest at floating rate which are going to fall down. That is your expectation, right? So you will become a floating rate payer and a fixed rate receiver. So friends, how this would work again just by reading a few paragraphs is not going to work for you. You should take a calculative example to understand the whole scenario. So what I will do is, I will first give you some notes in writing over here, note it down, and then you can take up a calculative example with me. So for your reference, I would just expand the screen size so that you can comfortably write everything over here. So please write these important lines I have explained you already. If the speculator expects interest rates to rise, he will prefer receiving interest at floating rate and paying interest at fixed rate. So floating rate receiver and fixed rate payer he would want to become. And second point would be, if the speculator expects interest rates to fall, he will prefer receiving interest at fixed rate and paying interest at floating rate. So fixed rate receiver and floating rate payer. So friends, do one thing, quickly note down these points and then we shall move ahead. Alright friends, you would have finished writing this whole thing. Let us move ahead and start solving questions of this type. Let us take up question number 113. Mr. Sunny expects interest rates to rise. Mr. Hitesh expects interest rates to fall. They enter into a swap deal whereby Mr. Sunny becomes floating rate receiver at MIBOR flat and payer at fixed rate of 10.5% per annum. Notional loan amount is rupees 5 crores and contract period is 1 year. Determine the net payoff at both the legs under the following cases. Case 1 given MIBOR equals to 8.92% per annum. Case 2 given MIBOR equals to 12.16% per annum. So friends, as I have explained, exactly same is the scenario that we find in this given case. You see, Mr. Sunny is expecting the interest rates to rise, correct? So he would prefer receiving interest at the floating rate, and that is what is given over here. Mr. Sunny becomes a floating rate receiver at MIBOR flat. When I say MIBOR flat, it will be pure MIBOR, no adjustments, no interests added or subtracted from MIBOR rate, absolutely flat MIBOR. In other words, no basis points will be added or subtracted from MIBOR. Now, notional loan is given as 5 crore. If you see, if the question is giving the viewpoint of Mr. Sunny that he becomes a floating rate receiver and fixed rate payer, obviously the counterparty Mr. Hitesh would have the reverse scenario, correct? Now let us do one thing, let us see how to present the solution, and because the question has been drafted from the viewpoint of Mr. Sunny, we would draft the solution also from the viewpoint of that same party. So let us see how to present the solution. Case 1, Mr. Sunny, fixed rate payer and floating rate receiver. So what you would do, you would first look into how much interest this party would receive. So case 1, the MIBOR is given as 8.92%. So interest received from Mr. Hitesh will be 8.92% of 5 crores, that is rupees 44,60,000. And now interest paid to Mr. Hitesh will be at a fixed rate of 10.5%, and that comes to 52,50,000. So Mr. Sunny is entitled to receive 44,60,000 and required to pay 52,50,000. Now both of these amounts are to be received and paid on a notional basis. That means these parties are not going to actually receive and pay these amounts. These are notional values. However, difference between these two, either positive or negative value, will be paid or received by these parties on actual basis. So, net difference paid to Mr. Hitesh. If you can see, the amount payable is more than the amount receivable. So, the net difference will be paid by Mr. Sunny to Mr. Hitesh, and this difference will be the actual amount paid. So, do one thing friends, write down this much and then we shall move ahead. Alright friends, you would have finished writing this whole thing. Let us move ahead and take up the second case. Case 2. Here the MIBOR is little higher, right? So, whoever is a floating rate receiver is going to be at an advantage, which in this case is Mr. Sunny. So, let us see what happens. The interest received will now be at the MIBOR rate, that is 12.16%. So, what we can see, the amount receivable increases substantially as compared to what we have seen in case 1. Now, the interest paid to Mr. Hitesh will remain same, right? Because this party, Mr. Sunny, is a fixed rate payer. He has agreed to pay interest at fixed rate of 10.5%. So that amount of 52,50,000, this amount will not change whether it is case 1 or case 2. This amount however changes, and the net differential this time would be positive inflow for Mr. Sunny because amount receivable is more than the amount payable. So the net difference received from Mr. Hitesh will be 8,30,000. Now one thing you should never forget, that this amount of interest to be received and this amount of interest to be paid, both are receivable and payable on a notional basis. However, their difference is settled on actual cash payment. So at end of the period, the net difference that Mr. Sunny would receive from Mr. Hitesh would be 8,30,000. So friends, take note of this as well, and that will be end of the solution. Alright friends, you would have finished writing this as well. Let us now move ahead and take up another question, that is question number 114. Let us read this. A dealer quotes all-in cost for a generic swap at 8% against 6-month LIBOR flat if the notional principal amount of swap is rupees 6 lakhs. Calculate semi-annual fixed payment. Second thing what they have asked is find the first floating rate payment for one above if the 6-month period from the effective date of swap to the settlement date comprises of 181 days and the corresponding LIBOR was 6% on the effective date of swap. Third part says in 2 above, if the settlement is on net basis, how much the fixed rate payer would pay to the floating rate payer. And the last line says generic swap is based on 30/360 days. So friends, how to interpret this line? They want you to consider 30 days in a month and they want you to consider 360 days in a year. So let us see how to present the solution. Very simple. First of all, the semi-annual fixed payment will be worked out. Notional amount of principal is 6 lakhs, fixed rate is 8%, and it is semi-annual means half yearly calculation. So it is 6 by 12, that comes to 24,000. Now the floating rate payment would be same notional value, that is 6 lakhs, but now the floating rate will be LIBOR, which is 6%, and the number of days to be considered will be 181 days. In the denominator we have taken 360 days exactly as per the instruction given in the question. This works out to 18,100. So obviously both of these will be notional values and the settlement will be on the basis of the difference of these two amounts, and that will be settled on a net basis. So if the settlement is on net basis, the net differential paid by fixed rate payer to floating rate payer will be how much? 24,000 minus 18,100, and that will be rupees 5,900. So friends, please take note of this whole thing, and that will be end of the solution. Alright friends, you would have finished writing this thing as well. Let us do one thing now. Let us move ahead and deal with the next question, that is question number 115. Let us read this. Derivative bank entered into a plain vanilla swap through an OIS, that is overnight index swap, on a principal of rupees 10 crores and agreed to receive MIBOR overnight floating rate for a fixed payment on the principal. The swap was entered into on Monday, that is 2nd August 2010, and was to commence on 3rd August 2010 and run for a period of 7 days. Respective MIBOR rates for Tuesday to Monday were 7.75%, 8.15%, 8.12%, 7.95%, 7.98%, and 8.15%. If the derivative bank received rupees 317 on net settlement, calculate the fixed rate and interest under both the legs. They have asked you to consider Sunday is holiday and work in rounded rupees and avoid decimal working. In the solution, you would calculate interest under both the legs. So let us first compute the floating rate based interest. That means first we will calculate all the interest under the floating rate basis. So we begin with the first day, because you have entered into the contract on Monday and your interest calculation begins from Tuesday. The rate applicable for Tuesday is given as 7.75%. Notional balance at the beginning of the day was 10 crores. So now what you do, please pay attention on this calculation. Take 10 crores into 7.75% and consider 1 day's interest calculation. So that will be 1 by 365. That time factor you would multiply. So in other words, it will be 10 crores into 7.75% into 1 by 365 would give you interest of 21,233. Now this amount will be added to the notional balance or to the principal amount the next day. So Wednesday, the rate declared is 8.15% and the notional balance now would be revised to 10 crore 21,233. On this, you apply 8.15% into 1 by 365 and that will give you interest of 22,334. Now this will be added to this existing balance. So the amount goes on getting accumulated with every day's interest earnings. So Thursday the rate is 8.12% and that 8.12% will be applied, of course, on what balance? It will be this balance plus the interest earned in the previous day. So the opening balance of Thursday would be 10 crore 43,567. On this amount, you are going to apply 8.12% again into 1 by 365. That will give you interest of 22,256. Next will be Friday. Friday's rate is 7.95%. Friday's balance will be previous day's balance plus the interest earned in the previous day. That will be 10 crore 65,823. On that, you would apply 7.95% into 1 by 365. That gives you 21,795. Never forget, after Friday, next day will be Saturday, and whatever rate is declared on Saturday, based on that you are going to compute interest for 2 days, that is Saturday and Sunday, and that rate is given as 7.98%. The opening balance on Saturday was 10 crore 87,618. Now be careful that you have to apply interest calculation for 2 days. So what you would do now is this amount into 7.98% into 2 by 365, and that would give you 43,764 as the combined interest income for 2 days, that is Saturday and Sunday. The last day would be Monday. Monday's rate is given as 8.15% and the notional balance on Monday morning would be 10 crore 1,31,382. That is this amount plus this amount. So now on this final amount you apply 8.15% and again into 1 by 365, that will give you interest for that one day 22,358. When you total up the interest, what you get is the total interest receivable at the floating rate, and that is 1,53,740. We don't know how much is the interest under the fixed leg. However, we know one thing, that the net differential is received, correct? When the net differential is received, what does that imply? That the receivable must be more than the payable, correct? That means payable is less and receivable is more. To arrive at that less amount, we would subtract that net differential received. So 317 is the net differential received, and finally the interest payable under fixed leg would be this amount of interest under floating leg minus the differential of 317. This will be 1,53,423. Friends, till earlier question, what you had been doing, try to recall. You were computing interest under floating leg, you were computing interest under fixed leg, and the differential was settled on a net basis. This time you have arrived at the amount of interest under the floating leg. You already know the amount of net settlement received, and this time the interest under fixed leg was determined at the end like this. So friends, make sure that you just don't copy everything. I am giving you little additional time to write down everything. Please carefully make calculations, check every calculation, and then note down the whole solution. I don't want the copy business. Please write everything systematically with all calculations, making sure that you don't have any point of doubt over here. So write it up and then we shall move ahead. Alright friends, you would have finished writing this as well. Now one small formality needed, that interest what was computed under fixed leg, we have to arrive at the rate of interest. So the rate of interest will be based on the fixed rate which will be applied on the principal. So the calculation becomes very simple. So your interest payment will be divided by the principal amount of 10 crores into 100 for percentage, and that will be multiplied by 365 by 7, and that gives you 8% per annum approximately. So let me explain this calculation once again. This is the total amount of interest under the fixed leg. This is the notional principal. So whatever you calculate will be the interest, and if you would want to express that in percentage, you have multiplied by 100. So this is the interest rate, but that is for the 7 days. So we would want the annualization. So we have multiplied by the time factor of 365 by 7, and you may check the calculation. What you get is approximately 8% per annum. So friends, note down this whole thing, and that will be end of the solution. Alright friends, you would have finished writing this whole thing. So let us see what we have learned exactly in this whole session. We have learned everything about interest rate swaps. We have learned not only the interest rate swap where the parties would want to protect themselves, we have also learned speculative interest rate swaps. We have also learned the concept of overnight index swap that works in the derivative market. So that would be enough for us to discuss in this session. So let us declare this as end of the session, and I would thank you so much for attending this class.